Okay, so last week, and the past few weeks, we've been talking about the recruiting process, and we just want to review the recruiting process, which is the basic 6 steps of sales track in your first step of the recruiting process. Remember, this is a conversation. It should be organic. It should flow with the client, but it should have a point to it. It should have a goal in mind. It should have a direction. This week, we're looking at how setting the appointment in stone fits into your recruiting process and what you're trying to achieve. In that, talking about sending the videos and webinars information that you want for the client. The next couple of weeks we're going to talk about, or next week we're going to talk about the follow-up appointment and answers to questions. If we recap from last week, what we look away at our takeaways from last week is allow for silence with your client when you're asking a litmus test, no matter how difficult and uncomfortable it may be. Allow them to process the information. Wait until the prospect answers your question before moving on. So in the litmus test, we mentioned that they could try to throw you off, like, what is number 5 again? What was that on a scale of 1 to 5? Which one was more important? Just restate your question and go silent again and allow them to answer that. Don't coach the prospect. Don't coax them either as to, come on, you know you can do this. Remember right now what we are talking about is recruiting somebody to your business. So it should be somebody you want to work with. That when Joe says don't judge them, don't judge who you call, don't judge who you invite, and don't judge who you expose the information to. But you, for the betterment of your own business, your reputation, things of that nature, you should be in a bit of a, I don't want to say judgmental posture, but observant posture of your individual that you're bringing in this. Be observant and be engaged with them and make a determination. If not only one, are they a good fit for you, but sometimes we can have personality conflicts, but no, that person would be a good fit for our business. So I want you to think about things from that context as well. Not everyone is a good fit. Please do remember that. Always leave the door open for later visits with an individual that maybe the conversation doesn't move forward, or it's just not the right time for them. And the last I would say here on a recap from last week would be take advantage when opportunity presents itself. With that being what your litmus test is all about, I want you to understand something as we move into our next section, which is Sales Track Recruiting Part 5, and what we're really talking about is the 6th step, which is setting the appointment in stone. So many people have difficulties setting appointments and having people show up for the appointments. I've been in sales for a long time. That seems to be the hardest thing. It's easy to set the appointment. It's hard to get the confirmation, get them to show up, unless you do one of a couple things. One is if you have a system that brings them to the awareness that they really do want to find out more, and an appointment is just the next step. Or 2, they've become defined in a track or a purpose that they take the client along that just leads to the next step being taken appointment. And then in that case, follow-up is going to be your greatest asset to that. So I want you to understand that setting the point in stone, while it may sound like we're really breaking this down in too much detail and we're going through things, setting the appointment in stone, right now what we're talking about is we've had the individual conversation and we're getting ready to send them information, or we are going to set an appointment to meet with them where we can talk about the recruiting aspects of the company, talk about the corporate model, talk about the compensation. If we're doing this via web conference or sending videos, we're sending the compensation in written format. We're sending the compensation video. We'll see this in just a moment. But I want you to understand that this is a 2-step process as well, just in the context that you're going to tell them, okay, great, you're interested, I'm going to send you some video information, and then we're going to do a follow-up appointment with that to answer any questions you have. So I want you to understand as I go through this, I'm not moving anything out of sequence, but this is, you have just finished your gain interest conversation, and you are going to give them the first blush of sending them information. I want you to understand the recruiting process is an art form, and the appointment process is no different. It has sequence, steps, and rhythm. Everything that we do has a process, and the reason that is because we have used these processes over and over again to get the best possible results. The more these processes become second nature to you, the easier you're going to be able to ebb and flow with personal stories, questions, tie-downs, litmus tests, and move through the process and move through it quicker. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by getting out there and talking to people and making mistakes and stumbling and fumbling, and eventually refine that process. Eliminating any of these fundamentals drastically reduces your chances of success. The steps that we have covered so far have led you to this point, and that's a big point I wanted to make. As Joe said, the biggest piece was asking questions, that it will put you in a position to know everything you need to know to set up your value proposition, to understand where you're going to go. Darlene talked about it being organic by asking questions and knowing what personal stories she's going to say, where she's going to direct it. Where is their interest level? Is it recruit to sell or sell to recruit? It's through the questions. Joan goes out with the intention to recruit to sell, but I know she's run into people that really just want the product. I know Darlene does both, and I know she's run into people that are in both wheelhouses and both categories. But if you follow the process of sales track, you followed your recruiting steps, setting this appointment should be an easy process. Let them know what to expect. I'm going to send you an email with information about Worth Unlimited, the program, the opportunity, and some videos for you to watch. Depends on who you're speaking with. You may use Mike Bunker's opportunity webinar. It covers product and comp plan. This is all in your agent portal. The Worth Unlimited product videos, real life demo and compensation video, the compensation plan. We have so many resources. Tailor it, go in our back office, look at what is there in the way of written documents, videos, things of this nature that support the recruiting process of this company, and pick and choose what it is that you're going to want to use for each individual client. And again, it comes from the conversations, as Darlene said and Joan said, from the questions that you ask the client. Set an appointment for follow-up, give deadline for watching video, make it 24 to 48 hours as possible. And that's why I want to make sure you understand that sending them the videos is an appointment. If you are going to meet with them and go over the videos, it's an appointment. If you're sending them the videos to watch, make a specific time and date, and I'm going to drive this home. I'm going to go maybe a little bit over the top on setting the appointment, but I want you to understand this also holds true for your second appointment, when you're either going to sign them up as an agent, which is where you're going to do it, or maybe even in your first appointment if you have the time and you know them and you're sitting down for the first time, they're like, yeah, I dig it, let's do it. Don't ever hold up the process if they're ready to go, if you think they're a good fit, if you think you're a good fit for them, if you think they will represent the company correctly and be a benefit to your bottom line as a business. So even in watching the videos, especially when you're dealing with family members and friends, make it an appointment. Not like, yeah, I'll send you a couple videos, watch them when you get a chance. No, I've got a lot to do. I'm going to send you these videos. This is a phenomenal opportunity that you have in front of you. I'd like you to take the time to watch these videos. So inform your prospect. After you've viewed the material, I will be asking you questions regarding the video and our compensation plan to see if they align with your desire and skill set. At that time, I would also like your input to see if we're a good fit for you and answer any questions you may have. We will set up a second appointment for that purpose. You're setting the stage with them. I don't know if those are the exact words that each one of you would use, but I want you to understand the intent, the context of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Joan first, and I'm going to ask Joan when she's sending the videos, you know, what does she typically say to the client? Then I'm going to go to Darlene and ask her what she typically says to the client. So Dr. Joan? Dr. Joan?
Hi there.
All right, so we've finished our, gain interest portion of our recruiting process. We're moving forward to setting that appointment in stone. We're going to send them the videos. What do you usually tell your client when you're ready to send the videos? Just give me your little short version of what you tell them to kind of wrap it up.
Well, it does kind of vary, but my catchphrase is the next step is. And everybody should just get in the habit of saying the next step is. The next step is pretty darn simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email. It's going to have a couple of videos in there. The first video is going to talk a little bit about the program because I think it's important that you have a good understanding of the program. And then the second video is going to be about the compensation plan so that you can learn about how you can make more money. Now, of course, I'm going to talk about what they've said was important here, and this is where you're going to learn X, Y, or Z of what they said was important there. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and schedule a follow-up appointment so I can answer any questions you may have about these videos. Now, is tomorrow at 5 good for you, or is Thursday at 10? Which is a better time for our follow-up appointment? So I just always go straight to scheduling that.
I'm going to go through our appointment and kind of how we go through all of those pieces. But I think exactly what you said hit on exactly what we wanted to hit on, is just kind of how you bring them in and just say this is what is going on. I'm going to come back to you in just a little bit, and we're going to go through the whole thing of giving them 2 options and all that. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to go over to Darlene real quick. Darlene,
Yes.
are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so just not so much the qualifying of how you actually set the appointment at the end of it and everything like that. Just, do you have like a statement when you're getting ready to send them the videos? Just kind of like a basic kind of catch thing that you do with them when you say you're sending the videos.
So we've had a little conversation, maybe a couple minutes even. And I would just say, listen, why don't I send you our video and show you what I send out to our client, our potential client, so you can see as an agent how easy it is to make that happen. I already assume they're going to be an agent if I've gotten this far. And then we can talk about the compensation and how that all works as well. So I break it into 2, and I show them exactly what I tell them, this is what I'm going to send. This is what we send, agents send to potential clients. So I'm going to show it to you, and then right after that, let's talk. And usually I make an appointment for that day or the very next day.
That's awesome.
I don't even get into too much of the compensation, because my thought is the numbers don't really mean anything until they understand, unless they've already been in network marketing and all that. And many people, want the details, and I want to show them the details differently. So I break it into.
No, go on. You break it into.
I just break it into two segments. The one is I send it to them and I ask them to watch it. See, I'm looking more for, is this person going to follow the directions that I'm giving them? Are they going to follow up, make the appointment? Are they going to watch the video and answer the questions? And if they do that, then I know this is a person I'm going to spend time with and show them the compensation information.
Yep, that's awesome. I think you made a very good point. I think Joe made a good point. I'm going to come back to you right near the end of the presentation. Okay, thank you, Darlene. What I want you all to take from this is that in your process, what you're really doing is drilling down the client, and you're finding out if these are people that are going to work, and they're going to work for you. And I love what Darlene said. I keep it simple. I'm going to send them the videos, and what I'm really trying to find out is, are they going to follow those simple instructions? The purpose of having a process in place is to find out, one, if the person is going to go along with the process. If you went to a mortgage lender, didn't give them a credit app, you wouldn't get a mortgage. There's a process. When you're recruiting somebody, you want to know that they can take basic instructions and move forward and be on time and do the things that they commit to do, or you're going to have an individual that says they're going to do a lot and never does anything. So I think that's a very good point that Joan and Darlene both made while we were moving through this segment. I'm trying to give you, you heard a couple different ways of sealing this up about how you're going to send them the information, things of that nature. So if you get a very positive response, yes, I'm very interested in Worth Unlimited opportunities, send me the information. This is where I say be definite. Make sure you ask the question. Make sure they respond. I ask that you review the material within 24 to 48 hours. Can you do that? And if they say anything other than absolutely, they're not really sold on becoming an agent. If they say, well, I've got a busy week and maybe Friday I can get to it. No, go back to somewhere in the beginning of your conversation. You can seal them down far enough to get to this point. Maybe they gave you a litmus response of 2 or 3 and you kept going forward just trying to push the deal. At this juncture right here, if they don't come back at you and say, yeah, I'll watch videos tonight or tomorrow night, you're giving them 2 nights. It's at maximum 30 minutes of video you want them to watch. So if they can't do that, they're probably not going to do much more for you. So let's go ahead and set up our follow-up appointment. And so they come back and say, yes, I can. Let's go ahead and set up that follow-up appointment. Okay, so here's where I want you to always remember, with your client, always give them 2 possibilities. Would Tuesday or Thursday work best? Now, I'm doing this because I want you to understand that, yes, I'm going into a little bit too much detail, but I want you to understand how this evokes in the client a sense of responsibility. And if you're doing a personal sit-down meeting for your recruiting, then you want to go through each one of these steps. If you're doing it on a webinar, it makes it a little more simple, but I really want to make a point here, Tuesday or Thursday evening, Friday evening. And, so I'm putting here that the guy is being a hard nut to crack. Would it be better 6 p.m. or 8 p.m.? And he goes, how about 7:30? Now, you can make your determinations from there. If you just want to drive a hard line and say, no, Friday, I'm completely booked, we'll have to move it into next week. Are you sure you can't make Tuesday or Thursday? Everything is a little bit of give and take. You really want to define how serious this individual is to joining your business. You do not want to just recruit them because they can breathe on a mirror. Do know if you follow the steps of Sales Track, this should be a pretty easy process to walk through to set your appointment. As Darlene said, if you've made it this far in the conversation, would you like to meet at your home office or my office? Not applicable if doing a video conference. I just want you to know you're always giving them two options. They say they're home. My schedule's filling up pretty quickly, but I have some time available, so you caved in. Friday evening, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m. at your home. Does that work for you? It could be Friday evening, 7:30. I'm going to be planning on giving you a call because I know you've watched all the videos because we've already set up the time and date and everything for the videos for you to watch them. So I'm going to be giving you a call right after you have watched those videos, which will be basically our second appointment that we're setting up, okay? All right, does that work for you? Yes. All right, all parties present. Now, is there anyone else you'd like to have present to get their eyes on this with you? There's never any value on the one-legged appointment. If someone else is going to be involved in the decision-making process, make sure they are there. I want to make sure I highlight something here. It's not just a decision-making process. If it's husband and wife and they do business together, you probably want them both there. If they don't do business together, the wife really doesn't do business, they're a satellite, the husband's the one that's interested, then yes, having the husband there to go over the information regarding the opportunity and everything is probably all you need. But I am telling you this, and I've seen this happen. Yeah, I've got a friend of mine that I think would be very interested. Great. Bring them too. Get them on the web conference too. Many of us concentrate on just getting one person. But if we've already turned somebody on enough and had somebody already interested enough in hearing about the process, what would keep us from meeting with two people and potentially recruiting two people? Hey, I know this guy would be perfect for it. Great. Can he be at that meeting? I hope I'm making sense to everybody. Yes, my husband, wife, significant other, tax guy, partner, friend. I think there's somebody else that would be somebody I want to get my eyes. Can we touch base with them now to see if they're available? What you're doing there is you're improving your odds, improving your averages. You're getting, if you're getting in touch with them right now, you're getting a name. You're potentially getting the phone number of another person that might be interested. The other thing is you're finding out if they can be available for that appointment. Now, some of you may just want to deal one-on-one when it comes to recruiting, but I've had this happen many times. Hey, I'm calling in, but my boss, he's talking about this, or my friend's talking about this. Take advantage of every opportunity, and I'm going to take this back to Darlene and Joan and what we've been talking about in the first 5 steps of Sales Track. Listen to your client, ask the difficult questions, make notes, and put yourself in a position that when it comes time to set the appointment, when it comes time to show the opportunity, comes time to show the product, you have them so interested, you have them so involved because you have set up your value propositions to meet them. You have set up the situation to be conducive to their desires or values or morals or ethics. You have shown that there's an opportunity that's lucrative for them either to get out of debt, take control of their finances, join the company, make extra money, or do both. So I want you to understand that the process is what has gotten you this. It's not about being slick. I've seen some people, I've seen quite a few people in this company that I would not consider the most eloquent when it comes to speech. But they are sincere and they have a great heart and they know the process and they know how to show the videos and they know how to set an appointment with somebody and they know how to let the tools do the talking for them, let the tools do the work, and how to just be real and kind and considerate and focus on the client, and they do great doing this business. Confirm the other party. Yes, my wife can make that appointment. Okay, so let's make sure we're both clear. We have an appointment set for Friday evening, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m. Either one of two things, caveat, for you to watch the videos, and we're going to go ahead and set up your second appointment right now, okay? And or you're sending the videos to the client, or you're meeting for that first time face-to-face, and that's what this is on your screen right now, is confirming a face-to-face appointment to talk about joining the company. Now, anybody you talk to about joining the company, you should talk to about the power of the product, and that's in your personal story, that's in your litmus test, in your 15-second commercial. But you should also show them the product. Show them a little bit about what it is that they're selling, not just the compensation and the model, and you want to let them at least see the demonstration, see what the product does. Whether you will find many people, sometimes they think they're just looking for part-time work, but they see what the program can do, and they're a sale and they're an agent. So take advantage of all your opportunities. They say, yes, that's correct. All right, we're good to go. I was raised to be a man or woman of my word. Now I'm going to be at your home, or I'm going to call you right after you watch the videos on Friday, April 3rd at 7:30 p.m. ready to go, and you and your wife will be present, correct, or your friend or the other person you wanted to hear this information. Yes. I want you to see that you want to go through each piece, and you want to make if you realize in this whole sequence they've said yes 5 times to you. They're in a very agreeable posture. You haven't left anything to chance. You have defined who's going to be there, when they're going to be there, that you've given a time for them to watch the videos. Use the exact same process. If all this goes well and they say, yeah, I'm going to do it, say, great, I'm going to set up our follow-up appointment for after you watch the videos for this day, this time. If you're just sending the videos or they've already watched them, follow this same process that we're following. Once they watch them, you answer their questions. Either try to sign them up right there during the appointment, try to sign them up right there online, or if they say, hey, we're interested in the product, go ahead and do the analysis and set up even a third appointment potentially to go through their analysis if they want to buy the product. But the reality is it should take you no more than 2 appointments to set them up as an agent, to get them signed up, and follow this process on those appointments, even though you're just sending videos, because you want to be able to monitor to them and how well they are going to follow instruction. Make sure you have what you need. Great, awesome, fantastic. I really look forward to meeting with you and your wife and chatting, or getting on the webinar with you and your wife and chatting again about this powerful opportunity in our program. I just want to make sure I have a good cell number for you, and may I have your email address. If this is the first, you've just finished that first conversation, you're sending videos for the first time, you may not have this information yet. Make sure you put it in your cell phone. Make sure you call the phone number right there. We've talked about that. Make sure you send them a follow-up email right there at the point of contact. Hey, thanks. It was great talking to you. Just want to make sure you got this email. Make sure it comes up on their phone. Make sure when you call the phone number, it comes up on their phone. All right, just reconfirm with them. Here you go. There's the information you need. Boom, boom, boom. Exchange it. The cell phone, don't do business cards or anything. Use your cell phone. Put in their email. Put in their phone number. Call the phone number. Inform your prospect. And just a reminder, after you've watched these videos, we'll be going over a business model. I'll be asking you questions regarding the videos, compensation plan, see if they align with your desires and skill set. At that time, I'd also like to have your input, see if we're a good fit. Please take notes for our discussion and enjoy the presentations that I'm sending. You're leaving a very open door. You're kind of sealing this down with a final little statement. You've already said that you're a person of your word. You're going to be there. They've agreed. You're just finishing this out. The appointment is now set in stone. Make sure you send a follow-up email the same day with a cordial note, something like, great meeting with you, speaking with you today, and I look forward to our upcoming appointment. Then verify the appointment particulars, including the date, the time, the location, the parties to be present. Also remind them of the rules of engagement that you have discussed with them. You know, that you're going to be expecting them to watch the videos and have some questions about it, and you're going to be talking to them about what they've done in their past, and is this a good fit for them, and have they ever worked on, you know, you don't have to go into all that right now, but just those basic points. Confirm the call. Make sure you call them 1 day before your appointment, unless you're just doing it the next day, or you might be even doing it later in the day. You might get somebody so intrigued when you finish your little break-in conversation, they're like, hey, do you have time to sit down now and take a look at it? Maybe I want to sign up now. Take advantage when you can take advantage. 5 to 6 hours before the appointment to confirm that nothing has changed. All right, so here's my summary. The sales track process is best used for recruiting as well as sales. Don't reinvent the wheel. Follow a duplicatable, replicatable system that can be easily executed by others. That is our sales track, and our recruiting track are 4 steps. These are our basic 4 steps to our recruiting process. 4, setting the appointment in stone. My basic summary points are: give your prospect 2 options. Always give them 2. Don't give them 3, don't give them 4, give them 2. Don't just give them 1, they may say no. Give them 2 options. Remember, this is an interview with a goal in mind. When you're setting this appointment for them to watch the videos, and you're setting that secondary appointment to answer any questions that they may have, you are setting up an appointment theoretically for an interview with a goal in mind. All meetings that you set with these individuals should be appointments. That shows that your time is valuable, their time is valuable. It's not just a meeting, yeah, I'll meet you there about noon, or we can meet at a coffee shop. It has purpose, it has focus. Recruiting is the lifeblood of your organization. So with all of that having been said, I'm going to go back to the phones real quick. I'm going to go to Darlene first this time. Darlene, how are you doing there?
Okay, this is a lot of great information.
All righty. So just with everything you just saw, and you know everybody on the call, and Darlene knows that you can go back and watch this video presentation if you want to get information out of it. You can also go back and watch setting the appointment in stone, just the sales track version, not incorporating the recruiting aspect. If you want to go back and watch that, there's a ton of information here. But Darlene, my question to you was, with setting appointments, we made the point that if you followed the process, if you've given them information along the way, if you've gotten their buy-in, getting down to setting the appointment and getting them to show up, if you just follow a sequence on that appointment, confirm information so there's no misunderstanding, you really should already be at that point, and setting the appointment should not be that difficult. My question for you, Darlene, is do you find that your appointments tend to fall in place and then you just do a good confirmation process, or do you find that you do something a little bit variant and different to what we do, that you want to add a little bit of a different swing, but I need to keep this down to about 2 to 3 minutes maximum? Okay?
Okay, so I'll put my New York voice and speed on. Yes, this is a good system. I am flexible with the person. As many of you on this call know, and Mac, you know, 95% of my presentations are on a webinar. And that's by choice. Whether they're in my town or not, I still do a webinar because then I can control the situation a little bit better. And I set my appointments. I remind them by way of email. I send them the appointment. I remind them by way of email. I remind them by way of text. I follow up with a reminder email. And then right before the, whether it's an appointment for training or appointment for anything or recruiting, I will send them your webinar is open and ready for you to join. If it's just a phone call of information, I will still leave them a message that I'm looking forward to talking with you at such and such a time. So it's very important that you follow up and you use all the tools that you have available to give them the information so that you don't reinvent the wheel. So that's very important that you use the tools. Another tool that you need to make sure you keep is to be on time. Whether that person is late or not, you should not be late. You need to be on time and ready to have the information. So know the do's and the don'ts of what to say and what not to say. Know the valley of death where you say too much or you just give them too much. You talk them into being an agent or a customer, or you talk them back out of it because you've said too much. So also understand what's in your hands, what you have available in your hands, and know why we do what we do. And have that passion of why we do what we do. We have a proven solution. And as agents, we're able to offer this to anyone and everyone that we may know in the entire country. So there's no boundaries. But you know what? I like to find out by the person on the team and as well as the new recruit is, what do you want? What is it you want and what do you want to do? Okay. And then that's the second one. The third one is, what do you need to get that to that point? So I'm going to get those questions answered. I may not say it exactly that way. What do you want? What do you want to do? But I will make sure that I get those questions answered so I know what direction to take. And then I can go into the fact that we recruit, we refer. It's just who you know. It's step 1, 2, and 3. I keep it simple, and then I see where they are. But I am recruiting, every day that way because that's just part of it. Most people, if they're already getting the program, it's very easy to say, now, there's a great way of earning some extra money for your discretionary by becoming an agent. And as an agent, you just have to do referrals. And I keep it real simple until I find out what they want to ask. But remember, keep the end in mind. Keep your goals in mind. You want to have a successful business, you need to make sure these steps are in place, whether it's the ones that the way Mac has done it exactly, or being a little more flexible with your lifestyle. Make it fit as best you can, but always talk to people about joining and taking advantage of what you have in your hands also. That's as fast as I could talk.
No, I think you did awesome. You almost rivaled me for speed of word per minute. So that was excellent. I think that was a really good recap. And what I want you all to hear from that is nothing is absolutely set in stone, but a process, a certain number of steps. You hear everybody talking about that, even Darlene. You have to be flexible. You have to be generic. You never know where the conversation is going to go. You have to have some stuff already prepared and ready to go, and that comes from getting out there and talking to people. The only reason that Darlene and Joan can respond so quickly on the fly to me is they're not reading this out of a book. They're not trying to think up something. This is how it would happen in real life. That I throw a lot of curveballs at Darlene and a lot of curveballs at Joan with no preface at all, and then I just bring them on. I have that much confidence in them because I've heard them talk to other people. I've heard them have to reset their game. I've heard them have to go in a different direction, think on their feet. This comes with experience. This comes with getting out there and physically talking to people and making the mistakes that are essential to put you in a position where you eventually are asking the difficult and the right questions. You are leading and directing the direction of the recruiting process and the sales process. You are seeing better results in your appointments and your sales because this is now becoming more second nature to you, and now it is just a process that you go through. I want you to think about the last job you started, whatever that was, however long ago it was not this. You had to learn a certain language and a certain process. I don't care if you were running a cash register, you were working at a bank, I don't care if you're a mechanic, I don't care if you went to a salon and you're cutting hair. There is a process, and that's the point that we're trying to get across is yes, be generic, yes, be yourself, yes, use your own words, but use the process to guide you and lead you along, and always, above all, listen to your client. I'm going to go over right now to Dr. Joan.
Mac,
yes.
Let me just say something that just hit me. You said to always give 2 options. That is so important, but the way you say it is important too, right, Mac? So you can say, would you like to see me on Monday or afternoon, or would you prefer that we get on the call on Wednesday, or whatever it is? It's the way you say it. So I'm already making them say one way or the other. I'm not saying, well, think about it. It's going to either be Monday or it's going to be Tuesday. So you need,
and that's a lot of the point. That's a lot of the point of the 2 options. Is one, you're putting them in a position that they don't just have one option they can say no to, but you're not giving them 3 options to confuse them either. And by giving them 2 options, you're assuming, would you rather meet Tuesday or Thursday? So yes, good point. Thank you, Darlene. Let me go real quick. And Darlene, thank you for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute, and I'm going to bring Joan on.
Sure.
All right, Dr. Jones. 2, 3, 4 minutes, somewhere around there. You've been with me through this whole process that we've been talking about recruiting. We're down to setting that appointment in stone. Next week, we are going to talk about your follow-up appointment, what you should be looking for there, and things of that nature. I just knew we would run out of time today. So with that in mind, bringing us up to setting this appointment in stone, knowing we're going into the follow-up appointment and answers and questions next week, what would you leave the field with? Maybe something I didn't touch on, a different take to setting the appointment, something you feel, that you would like to bring to the field.
I think you and Darlene have really summed it up pretty darn well. Actually, there's not really much I can add. Y'all know I like to talk, though, so I'm going to try. So we spent a lot of time over the last few weeks talking about the 6 lessons of Sales Track. We talked about it extensively, about how it relates to that in the client world, and now we've been really talking about how it can work in the agent world. One thing that we haven't really talked about is the conversation for the agent side. That initial conversation to gain interest is going to be slightly longer than that of your client conversation. And that's only because for an agent prospect, you have to get them to have buy-in to the product and to the agent side of things. So you really have to introduce both sides of that conversation. So the conversation is slightly longer. Now, typically for the client side, my conversation is 10, 15 minutes. If you're spending more time than that in that initial conversation, you're selling, and that's not your job in that initial conversation. That initial conversation is just as it says on that screen, gain interest, not sell, gain interest. On the agent side, that conversation is really about 15 to 20 minutes. You just add an extra 5 minutes or so, and of course you're not going to time it. You don't have the stopwatch in front of you, although that's not a bad thing actually to do, because you can kind of create a little bit more sense of urgency if you are like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I have to go, I have another conversation, I'm going to give you that I'll give you a call at that deadline. But that initial conversation is about gaining that interest. And remember that people that are on the program outsell and outperform those that are not on the program. And that's why we've chatted a little bit about recruiting, about how important it is to do that 90-day trial or to have them buy the program, whatever it may be. People on the program tend to outsell and outperform those that are not on the program. So you do have to have them buy into the program. You do have to discuss in that conversation aspects about the program. But again, the point is to ask questions, get to know what's important to them so that you can tell them about the program that's important, so you can tell them about aspects of being an agent that's important to them. One of the things that's important about scheduling that appointment, now for me, I do follow this process that's on your screen. I gain interest in that initial conversation. During that initial conversation, I'm going to guide them using the words I used before. The next step is, get used to saying that. That's really your closing. The next step is. The next step is, the next step is. I'm going to send you some videos. I'm going to, we're going to schedule an appointment so I can answer any questions that you may have. Do not leave that conversation until you have that appointment scheduled for your next appointment. Your next step is to schedule that appointment. It's either to review the videos that they've already watched or to watch the videos with them. But do not leave that conversation until you've scheduled your next follow-up appointment. Don't get stuck in voicemail jail. And as Mac had said earlier, don't do that. You know, I'll give you a call in a couple days and find out what your interest is. No, 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 no. This is a business. You treat it like a business. Your doctor wouldn't say to you, I'll give you a call in a couple days and we'll see when you want to come in. No, you have a firm appointment of when your next appointment is. So give that firm appointment of when that next conversation is. So the other part of it is that people need a deadline. People are procrastinators by nature. People will postpone what they have to do. Think about when you were back in school, when you were given a homework assignment. Most people, not all, most people waited until just before the homework was due to actually get it completed. Well, your prospects are the same way. They're not going to watch the video until just before it's due. So make sure they have that deadline, or else you will get stuck in voicemail jail. So that deadline is when they need to watch those videos by, unless, of course, you're going to be watching it with them. I do like to this process is how I train my agents also. So I do tend to follow this process fairly regularly because I want to show them from the beginning that this is the process they need to follow when they are also recruiting. So I give them that deadline so that they know they have to have it completed by that time frame. Then, of course, I remind them, make sure all decision makers are present, so on and so forth. But this truly is about having that conversation. It's truly about guiding them through the process that, whatever process it is for you, this is the process I tend to follow. And I really can't emphasize enough, I mentioned this at the beginning of the call, I'm going to emphasize it again. Don't make the decision for others. You don't know who needs extra money or who needs to be a part of or feel a part of a crusade. This is a little bit older of a statistic, but I remember reading several years ago, the average person could avoid bankruptcy if they had an additional $250 of income per month. Let me repeat that because I think that's really important for everybody to remember. The average person that declares bankruptcy could have avoided bankruptcy had they had an extra $250 a month of income. We have that option. We have that ability. If somebody just gets out there and starts that conversation, we have the ability to change a life. You just have to get out there and start that conversation. So please do not make the decision. People of all different socioeconomic statuses declare bankruptcy. People of all different socioeconomic statuses have financial issues. Don't make the decision for that person for them. It is not your place to make that decision. Allow them the opportunity to make that change for themselves. Allow them to make that decision of what they need in their own lives. Please don't make it for them. People lead the lives they live because they don't know that there's other options. There are other options to bankruptcy. There's other options to having a crusade. There's other options to being a part of something bigger than what they are. Get out there and start that conversation that matters so that other people know there are options out there. You're really given an opportunity and an ability to change someone's life with this opportunity and with this program. I pray and I ask that you don't waste it. Matt?
Joan, thank you so much for your wrap-up. Darlene, thank you so much for your wrap-up. I'm not going to prattle on. I think everything that needed to be said tonight has been said. I really enjoyed this training. I appreciate everybody being on. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out directly to me or Worth Agent Support. With that having been said, I want to thank everybody for joining us for the Agent Update and Sales Track Training from May 14, 2018. This is Max Saunders and team with Worth Unlimited saying, let's get out there and do something big. Let's get out there and do something right. But at the very least, let's get out there and do something big right now. This is Max Saunders saying bye-bye for now.